Well, let's begin with about 17 lawmakers defected. According to him, the ADC is dead. How would you react to this?
Well, I will react to it very simply. The only dead institution in Nigeria is the National Assembly that is supervised by the dead Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio. I wonder how a man that does not have the breath and the balls to confront and check and balance the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that approves everything that is brought to his table, even if it is borrowing Nigeria into slavery. The thing that is dead there is the National Assembly under Senator Akpabio. So we are alive, we are well, we are kicking, and we are going to form the next government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because we will win the 2027 election. The coalition is well and it is moving smoothly, and we will overcome.
In 2023, Kenneth Okonkwo was basically tearing down the Nigerian political establishment on national television. But today, well, his critics say he is doing PR for the exact same system he tried to dismantle.
Yeah, it is a massive pivot, to say the least.
And you were once a very fierce defender of Peter Obi. Now that he's exited the ADC ecosystem for another coalition, exactly, do you feel his departure was a betrayal of the Third Force movement?
Oh, well, you recall that when I said I wasn't going to speak for him again, I said I will not speak for a man that I don't understand his position on important national issues. I say I will not speak for a man who, even if he wins, and Nigerians give him his vote, he does not have what it takes. He does not have the capacity to even secure his own victory. So the issue of saying whether the coalition will be affected, the coalition will not be affected in any way. Peter Obi, within 6 months, changed parties 3 times. You could recall, since he defected to NDC, I've not taken it as anything serious or anything relevant to bother myself, because by December 30th, he was a member of Labour Party. By December 31st, he was a member of ADC. By May 3rd, he is a member of NDC. I am sure, if not for the restriction in the Electoral Act, before the close of the registration or the membership time, I'm sure he will be a member of another party. That is his nature. Obi said, I don't have a problem with David Mark, meaning he didn't have a problem with the ADC. He said, I don't have a problem with Atiku Abubakar, meaning he does not have any problem with the aspirants. Then what is the reason he gave? He said, I don't like challenges. I don't like trouble. ADC is going through challenges, legal and otherwise. And I like to run away to where there is peace, to where there is no trouble. And I now ask, how can this same man ask Nigerians to entrust Nigeria in his care when Nigeria is the most challenged country in the world today? Nigeria is both physically and mentally challenged in all capacity. Nigeria is the 4th most terrorized nation on earth. Nigeria has borrowed itself to bankruptcy. Nigeria, as I'm talking to you, the bandits tie people on the tree and put fire under them to burn them in Kwara, in Kogi, in Niger. So how can a man who says he's running away from challenges be able to face the challenges we are facing in Nigeria today? I am sorry. The Peter Obi's temperament and his capacity is incompatible with the requirement of Nigeria of today. So the ADC cannot possibly be missing anything. Recall that before he came to ADC in December 31st, his political career was already dead. He was that before he entered ADC, his political career was already dead. So dead that he could not even enter ADC from his own state, Anambra State. He entered ADC from Enugu State, my own state, where he believed. So ADC actually gave him a lifeline. Peter Obi needed ADC. ADC did not need him because we were already moving on without him. So sure, because he's a man that has morbid fear for primary election. He has never been in one, and he will not be in one until he finishes his political career. He became a governor. He entered into primary election. He failed and lost to Ralph Mosu in Apga. And then he still managed to find the leaders to cancel that primary, and they still gave him the ticket. That was how he became governor. And so when he gave the reason of challenges, of course, he lied. because his main reason is that he does not want to face the primary election. And let's
Said that it was the ADC that gave Mr. Peter Obi a lifeline. You said his political career was dead even before he joined the APC.
Was dead.
But some analysts, believe the continuous high-profile defection from ADC is due to the exit of Peter Obi and Rabiu Kwankwanso. Of course, they have their followers, they have the obedient movement, they have the Kwankwansia movement. So I'm wondering then what the ADC is doing to prevent more high-profile defections and how the exit, of this political heavyweights, whom you might dispute it, but they do have their followers, and those followers would have benefited the ADC if they had stayed in the party. So what has been done to prevent more defections? How is the party planning to rally, from all these exits?
Well, first of all, let me even tell you that some people who even wanted to follow him are already coming back. Atiku Abubakar is a man that has propensity for corruption, tendency to disloyalty, inability to say and speak the truth at all times. So he's a man for poor judgment, belief and reliance in matter about, lack of transparency, a man who trusts in money to buy his way out in all situations, a man who has the readiness to sacrifice morality, integrity, propriety, truth, national interest for self and selfish interest. We are seeing it manifesting. It gives me goosebumps that Atiku has the national award in corrupting the generation before him and corrupting the generation after him. He said in that tape, I have advised Obasanjo against open corruption, meaning Atiku has been operating coded corruption, sacrificing innocent people and hiding
A huge stack of recent debates and analyses we have been looking at. Our mission today, for you listening at home, is to evaluate Okonkwo's sudden political shift against his past claims of absolute integrity. And we are going to explore why this exact move is sparking a very real, very deep fear among young Nigerian voters.
It is definitely causing shockwaves, especially given his history.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this, because watching this play out feels like seeing a fierce corporate whistleblower suddenly accept the lucrative seat on the very board they just tried to get indicted, or, like a high-stakes game of musical chairs where changing seats might completely cost you your credibility.
That is a great way to put it. The shift is just jarring. I mean, Okonkwo was undeniably one of Peter Obi's most vocal defenders, right? Yeah. But he recently declared he will no longer speak for him.
Right. Wait, really? Just a complete split?
A complete split. And his stated reason is that he claims Obi preferred backroom negotiations over transparent primary elections within the opposition coalition.
Wow, okay. But I struggle to see this as just standard coalition building when your entire political brand is basically, burn the corrupt system down. Pivoting away from your leader over backroom deals feels huge. Is this just standard political strategy or a fundamental betrayal of his own base?
Well, what's fascinating here is the sheer mechanics of why those backroom deals happen in Nigerian opposition politics.
Right, because it's not exactly simple.
Exactly. Merging diverse regional and political factions to challenge a dominant ruling party, it often forces leadership to bypass open primaries entirely.
Because open primaries are risky.
Yeah, they risk fracturing a very fragile alliance before it even gets off the ground. So Obi's camp opted for consensus building behind closed doors just to keep the coalition intact. But for Okonkwo, that lack of transparency was the absolute breaking point.
But that breaking point clashes so violently with his own 2023 brand. I mean, old videos are resurfacing everywhere right now for you to see.
Oh, I have seen them. They're everywhere.
Yeah, clips of Okonkwo absolutely laying into political figures like Atiku and the old elite. He accused them of corruption, of selfish power games, and he insisted Nigeria could never change if the same elite kept recycling themselves.
Right, and now critics are arguing his new, softer stance toward coalition politics aligns him with those exact same structures.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like a famous vegan suddenly doing PR for a steakhouse. It really messes with your head.
It really does. And that contradiction is what's fueling the current firestorm. If you look impartially at the sources we have, you see two very distinct camps reacting to this.
How so?
Well, supporters argue that changing strategy doesn't erase credibility. They say surviving in a complex, high-stakes political landscape requires you to navigate existing power structures.
Sure, the pragmatic approach.
Right. Opponents, however, insist that weaponizing anti-establishment anger to build a massive following, only to step back into the traditional political fold, completely shatters public trust.
And that shattered trust is tapping into a palpable emotional dread. Reading through these sources, you can literally feel the anxiety jumping off the page, specifically among young Nigerians.
Yeah, the frustration is very real.
There is this terrifying realization taking hold, the fear that every reform movement eventually just morphs into the exact thing it fought against. It's the sheer exhaustion of an endless cycle of alliances, betrayals, and recycled promises.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it explains why the reaction is so intensely emotional. Young voters aren't just reacting to a single politician changing his mind,
They are reacting to the system itself.
Exactly. They are reacting to the structural reality of the Nigerian political system. The fear is that the machinery of power is designed so that no independent reform movement can survive without eventually assimilating into the very establishment networks they swore to destroy.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Ultimately, it's a real-time lesson in the absolute fragility of public trust.
Yeah, trust is hard to build and easy to lose.
Absolutely. When highly influential voices change direction, citizens don't just question the individual, they begin to question the viability of any future reform, which is terrifying.
It really is.
Yeah.
Which leaves us with a critical question, something for you to ponder long after.
I'm listening.
If every anti-establishment rebel eventually has to play by the establishment's coalition rules just to survive, is it the politicians who are fundamentally flawed, or the entire structural foundation of how power is won?